Welcome everybody, TSO Daily. I am your host, Mystic Raven. Okay, so there's a lot of options for healers, and I kind of play around with a lot of different things as a healer. And the one thing I really like doing is going into vets and messing around with different builds and build options to kind of accommodate the circumstances as needed. And this build does that exactly for Dragonknight healers. This is what I call the recap build, and it's not completely finished. Once again, I'm on my PC. I'm not on my PlayStation, but I will go over this build and kind of explain the purpose and how we rearrange things. Okay, so once again, I don't have my Undaunted completely unlocked on this character, so keep that in mind, but I'm going to go ahead and get into this. So max Magicka is at 38,348, Magicka Recovery is at 1447, max health 19,935, I like to stay around 20k. And my spell crit on sword and board sides at 48%. I like to stay around 50 on this. I mean, if you want to go ahead and run the thief and run it up a little bit better, you can. Currently, I'm running the mage. That just gives me a lot more magicka. So I like, maintaining that as much as possible. All right. So when I go on the resto side, we see 36,009, almost 37,000. Magic recovery on this is 1501, and max health still at 19,935. Crit still 48, and the points as allocated are 56.8. I'm trying to stay away from the word alligated. It's how I pronounce it, but a lot of people will just kind of flog me for it. But hey, tomato, tomato. And then, like I said, we're running the mage. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the gear, and then I'll go over the skills. Alright, so we're going to be running the Lich set. So I have the Restoration Staff infused. I want to try to get this in precise. That's why my crit value is a little low. But right now I have the infused, which is fine, and I have the Restore on it. And then I have the Sword of Lich defending, and once again I want to try to get this in precise. My shield is the Combat's Physician infused. So I'm going to be running the shield, the Lich, and Combat's Physician. Once again, I'm running the Sentinel set. Alright, because the Sentinel is going to give me 2% healing done. I am an Argonian, so I'm getting an additional 5% towards my healing. Whenever I heal a friendly target, I have a 10% chance to summon a Dwemin Spider that heals for 1,204 health and restores 506 stamina to you and your allies within 5 meters. Every second for 8 seconds. This can occur every 15 seconds. I just like this for sustain for DPS. Stamina DPS. You don't have to run this set. You can run other sets, but I like it. It's added utility. I have the Robe of Combat's Physicians infused. This is intentional. I haven't golded in anything yet. So this is max magicka. Sash Combat's Physician. This is supposed to be divine. Unfortunately, I don't have a divine's Combat's Physician, but Wayrest is the daily, so I'm hoping to capitalize on that today. I also have the Gloves of Combat's Physician, divine, max magicka. That's intentional. I have the Breachers of the Lich infused. That's intentional, max magicka, and the Shoes of the Lich divine, intentional, max magicka. I also am running Combat's Physician necklace. I'm running the Ring of the Lich. And, of course, then I'm running another Ring of the Lich. Okay? Now, as you can see on the staff side with Combat's Physician, I only have 4. But when I go to Sword and Board, because I run Sword and Board on the back, then you're going to see that I have the bonus. And it goes ahead and it gives me a crit. Max Magicka, spell crit. When I critically heal a friendly target, you grant them a damage shield that absorbs 9,253 damage for 6 seconds. Hence why I want the precise. I want to get that above 50. So I'm needing that at the moment. But other than that, it's pretty good. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into the skills. Everything's pretty common, except I've changed one thing around. I usually, on Neurotic Orbs, is where I have my Cauterize. But I put the Cauterize on the back to proc the Combat's Physician along with the Obsidian Shard. Alright, so these are my 2 healing effects that will go ahead and proc my Combat's Physician proc. Right, so keep that in mind. This is nice because once I go ahead and apply this, if it heals even on my resto side, it will proc my Combat's Physician. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Healing Ward. It's going to go ahead and call my stat strength, providing them a shield that absorbs 5,508 damage, while also healing them for 2,513. Pretty much, unless I'm running a trial, I always run this on the DK healer. DK, this is all about mitigation and healing the difference. Healing Springs, pretty standard. You know, AoE heal effect, and I restore 338 magicka for each friendly target hit by the initial heal, up to a maximum of 3. Combat prayer. Excuse me. If you don't have combat prayer as a healer, you might want to pick another role, because I never ever go out of every healer role. I'm always going to have combat prayer. Why? Buff, 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 and buff. Minor berserk, minor resolve, minor ward, increasing my allies' damage done by 8%. Physical resistance and spell resistance for 1,320. Neurotic orb. Great, since Morrowind changes. I'm actually going to be morphing this to the healing orb with this build. Why? Because I can switch that on the back bar and put my buff on this bar. That just gives me a lot more cushion for the combat's physician proc. So basically what it's going to do, I just throw the projectile. It's going to deal magic damage. A healing orb is going to heal. Ally can go ahead, activate the synergy. It explodes. If it's the heal, it'll heal them. If it's neurotic, it'll go ahead and damage. And also restore 3,960 magic or stamina, whichever is the maximum of the highest value. Inner lights on both bars. And then I have reviving barrier. Currently, I only have the 7. I'm trying to get my 9 so I can get my other magical aid, because we have 5% bonus to regen. Once I unlock that second one at 9, I'll get 10% towards my regen. And the reviving barrier absorbs up to 30,556 damage, and it also heals me and my allies for 22,134 health over 30 seconds. Okay, on the back bar, we're going to have Igneous Weapon as our buff. This applies to me and my party, offering major sorcery and major brutality, increasing spell damage and weapon damage by 20% for 38.4 seconds. Igneous Shield, that's the bread and butter of the DK healer. Why? Because it goes ahead and mitigates shield for me and my party for 2,338 damage. My own shield absorbs 200% additional damage, but we're getting major mending. That increases our healing done by 25% for 3 seconds. I go ahead and I rotate this pretty frequently in my rotation, hitting up the mitigations and then healing, offsetting it with the heals. Obsidian Shard. Obsidian Shard is the highest valued heal ability for the DK, because it slams an enemy with a solid rock, dealing 1,343 magic damage, stunning them for 3.6 seconds. That's really nice, especially during certain mechanics. But it heals me or an ally near the enemy for 6,860 health. And of course, we have the Cauterize. Cauterize is going to activate a flame that launches fireballs at allies, cauterizing their wounds every 5 seconds, healing them for 4,662 health. Also gains Major Prophecy that will not stack with Inner Light. So keep that in mind. It's just there. And of course, we have the Warhorn, which I need to morph this to the Aggressive Warhorn. So I just need a skill point. But other than that, that's the way we do it. Now, I already picked up the daily, so I'm just going to do the random. I really like this build because what the Lich set does... Now, for me personally, this is the thing about this build. You can run out of resources pretty fast. So when I fall below 33% magicka increase, your magicka recovers by 996 for 20 seconds. This effect can occur every 1 minute. For this 20 seconds, so we have 60 seconds in a minute, so we have a 40-second downtime between its... ability. But 996, I'm having a lot more sustained healing than I typically would with a lot of other builds. Now, in a trial set, you wouldn't necessarily run this because, you know, you're better off with one wearing Warlock and another one wearing a trial set. Because between all the mechanics and all the utilities that's thrown out, usually you don't have a lot of problems with sustain as long as you're hitting over between 12 and 14 on your regen. So, you know, but for a 4-man vets, this works out perfect. Now, there are some DPS builds that kind of run this. You know, they run a high-end burst, so they need a little bit more sustain. So they'll run this on a back bar if they're double stacking, or if they're not running a monster, they'll keep it set. So I've seen that happen. It works out pretty good. So they'll have a low-end regen. So they'll set their regen around 900, below 1,000, and they'll use the Lich to proc the difference. So... kind of works out really nice. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, if you don't want to use the Lich, obviously you can use Warlock. And Warlock would give you the magic up front instead of the regen. But I just like the regen because a lot of the times, you know, the regen comes in handy. you know, you recap quite fast, and that's why I keep it as a constant. So, champion points. I don't have all my champion points on the PC, but let's kind of go over this. Okay, so Blessed is at 75, 14%. I never go 15 because of diminishing returns. So 25 points for 1% is not worth it. Currently, my Elf Ward's at 12.43. I'll actually get this up a little bit higher. Erosion, I just put 4 points in just for the staff's penetration. Once again, I'm not really worried about dealing damage as a healer. I have nothing currently in Elemental Expert. I will be setting a few points in there just for some of the mild damaging effects I have. But Staff Expert becomes a very important focus because as I'm weaving, the amount of damage that I deal on the last hit applies the healing effect to my party, so I want to capitalize on the Staff Expert, and I have nothing into the Ritual. Ironclad, I need to be putting points into, so when I'm grabbing up more champion points, I will be taking this up to about between 14 and 17%, but right now I need to focus on Hardy, which is at 9.45 currently, and Elemental Defender's at 9.45. So I just split the difference. I'm not a vampire on this build. And of course, Bastion, which is the most important aspect for the DK, is set at 17.45. That just goes ahead and strengthens my damaging shield effects for me and my party. And Quick Recovery, I just put a couple points in at 2.90. Warlord, I have currently at 5.67. I will be taking this up, usually around about 9% or something like that, you know, to reduce the cost of break freeze. Arcanus is currently at 13.68. This is what I'm currently working on to get that up to 14. Once again, I never go 15. Tenacity's at 10.95. Once again, I'll be bumping up just a little bit, but keep in mind I will be doing heavy attacks throughout my rotation. I just want to go ahead and capitalize on the return. Health's at 0.30. Once again, I'll put a few points, but I don't need to focus too much on healthy, but I will be focusing, putting a few points, and currently I have nothing in the shade, and that is how I currently have the attribute points allocated. So, like I said, I already got the daily, so I'm just going to queue up a random. Hopefully I get one of those as my daily. Reapply my food buff. Don't want that to drop off. Not what I was hoping for. Oh well. I'm still working on CP. This is why I'm doing the random. Sometimes I'll get a 2 for 1, and I'm happy with that. But if I don't, hey, whatever. I'd rather get the XP at this point than the gear, I guess. Gear will come. Okay. Nice tank. 50k. Gonna be mitigating quite a bit. No, big time importance is keeping that cauterize up, guys. I don't know what's going on. I've been having really bad luck with DPS today. Whoa, 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 whoa. That DPS is in plate. Why do they do it? Why? Why? It's not the meta, guys. It's not the meta. PvP is a whole different beast, but... Oh my god. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry, dude. You got to go, dude. It's not about CP at this point. Fire. You see the shield proc? Oh my god. Swear. Why? Why? This is... why? I don't know where people are getting these builds, I swear. It's taking me longer to get through mobs. Ugh. Why? What the fuck would possess you to do this shit?
Over there, it's Maril.
Somebody please leave comments after why Stam DPS is trying to put heavy armor on in dungeons. Tell me why.
Where's Atavar?
I don't know. Atavar and
Oh my god.
Atavar, where are you?
holy divines. Look at the size of that thing.
Getting ready for the pound. Applying my buffs. Mitigate.
First the blood thief, now a gargoyle. That settles it. Vampires.
Vampires. You think they know what they're dealing with?
If not,
Jeez, my Jesus.
yes, Braxton. The Whisperer is gone.
No, you can't be real. I was going to rescue you. Then I heard her voice.
This is gonna be fun. We're gonna get slammed with all these ads. I will guarantee this. I will fucking guarantee it.
Let you stop us.
First thing, they're at the door.
Why is nothing ever easy?
They should be over here. I got ya.
No, this is all wrong.
Their AoEs look good.
I don't want you to see it. Get out of here.
Shit. Hate when that does that. Oh, no, 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 no. Yep, it's gonna be me. Oh my god. Leave it up. Just throw the shield. Better get in there. Get away! I'm gonna, I swear, plate. I don't like plate, guys, for DPS. I do not like plate on DPS. This guy puts on a costume so we don't see his plate. You got, dude, you got plate on. At least you got dual wield. This dude, I don't know if he's running sword and board. I could see, I don't know. I swear, guys. Let me see. That's okay. I'm curious. I'm kind of curious here at this point. Oh no! 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 Do you read this? No! 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 Oh. I don't remember Delta putting out a tank DPS build. I don't remember it, but if that, alright, I'm sorry about everything here, guys, in the background if you can hear it. I'm trying, guys. Oh, no! Better separate. He's about to do his thing. Start putting us in circles. Yep. Here it comes. I knew this was gonna happen, guys. I just knew it. Right? They're not getting ads down fast enough. And of course, I'm gonna have to be weaving because I'm getting drained by the boss. Shit. Nothing I can do. I'm having to move around. This is what it's like, man. I don't know, man. At least somebody said where they're getting these built from. Just because, now here's the thing. If it's a PvP build, I could see a PvP build being whatever. But this isn't going to work. This isn't. I'm going to be honest. Plate DPS sucks. It sucks. And with that, I'm bowing out. You know, whatever. It is what it is, guys. And this is the point, man. This is the point. You know, this is an issue, and I believe Astro is definitely got a point there. At least he's got a DPS rotation and whatever. But your plate, and it was funny because I did the video today, and plate scales off hit, right, guys? So you have to be hit, and it's in the wrath bonus is the problem. So, you know, and I think that ZeniMax need to address this. I think it should scale for the damage for every hit you deal, not what you're being dealt. So let's go into this. And I'm sorry about I didn't get to finish a video on this, but, you know, I'm glad that this actually happened because we can kind of address this issue here. When we go under heavy and we go down the wrath, increase your weapon and spell damage by 5 for 5 seconds when you take damage, stacking up 20 times. Here's the key words: when you take damage. All right, so anytime you're not taking damage, it drops off, right? So that's the problem. You know, it's not about how many times you're hitting, it's how many times you're whatever. When we take a look at the medium armor, here's the deal, guys. We're increasing our weapon critical, right, with dexterity. We're also improving our weapon damage with a flat with medium armor. So this is a 1 second. So here's the deal, guys. So I'm getting the weapon damage flat, right? I'm getting an increase to my critical, right? In heavy, there's no other, you know, passives that are going to apply to damage other than wrath, right? There's just nothing. There's zero. That's why the damage is weaker on heavy armor. Even if you're running in with Draugrs, you know, if you're going to roll Draugrs, yeah, you're going to get the major brutality. That's fine. Whatever. You can even craft heavy sets. Let's say you can do a heavy craft with like Hundings or Night Mothers or whatever. It's giving you, you know, some more sustain for whatever hit. But yeah, everything's based on hit with heavy armor. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. I'm sorry I didn't get to finish a dungeon. It kind of depresses me as much as whatever's going on, but at least we're addressing this issue. And I don't think Deltia put out a specific, I could be wrong, but I don't think Deltia put out a specific dungeon crawl build with heavy armor. I could see him doing PvP like heavy build, definitely all day every day, but this guy's claiming he got it from Deltia, and I don't think that's the case, that it was supposed to be implemented in that. And that's another misconception with viewers. They think that one build applies to every part of the game, and that's not the case. If we put out builds that say specifically PvP, they're not supposed to be you know, implemented towards dungeons. If we say that this is a vet build, it's not necessarily a trial build. If we put a trial build, doesn't necessarily mean it'll be optimal for necessarily every vet dungeon, because you don't know what you're getting in groups. There's so many different things to take into consideration when any of us put out videos. Okay, so I'll just take that, you know, kind of process that, you know, absorb that. And but if anybody's putting out a DPS build for heavy armor for the intentions of vet dungeons, it's not as productive. All right, and I'm having, that's a hard pill for me to swallow. That's, you know, chalking it up to Deltia and saying, Deltia, I got the build from Deltia, and that's why I'm rolling a vet dungeon with that. I don't believe that a bit. I do not fucking believe that. Me and Deltia has had our indifferences at times, but even despite that, Deltia is pretty knowledgeable when it comes to applied, you know, use of builds, and I just don't see that's the case. So once again and always, I do want to thank everybody for watching. Sorry I didn't get to complete the run, but if you have any questions or comments, post below. And once again and always, thank you, and have a nice day.